Hi everyone, welcome back to the Coaching Observer. I'm Coach Sian, providing you from key observations from a coach's point of view with regards to the Rugby World Cup. And wow, we are at the end, the final. Guys, I think this is probably one of the best matchups that I could have hoped for. If we think about the rivalry, if we think about the history, both teams winning 3 World Cups in the past. The last time we met was 95. Both teams have been dominant in the Rugby World Cup for the last 2 decades. If you think about South Africa being in the final and winning in 2007, New Zealand in 2011, New Zealand again 2015, South Africa in 2019, and once again one of these 2 teams will lift the trophy of the Webb Ellis Cup come Saturday, and again dominating the Rugby World Cup scene. So yeah, very exciting. I think the matchups are interesting. It's going to be a nail-biter. I'm always torn between these 2 teams, and we're going to dive into a few things. I'm just going to look at a bit of a recap on the semi-final, what worked, although it was quite hard to look at. I'm going to look at the squads were announced. So I just want to look at some of the key players or players that can be the most impactful for both teams. And yeah, I'll make my prediction and end off, guys. So let's dive in. Let's start off with chatting about South African team was announced this morning. I think New Zealand will only announce once New Zealand is awake. Obviously, the time difference for me is quite big. 7-1 split. Once again, quite a big changes as well within the starting lineup from the South African point of view. If I look on paper, for me, it's clear what they want to try and do. It's a final, right? So it's everything you can do to try and get as many points as you can, or just one more point in your opposition. If I look at the South African lineup, bring in Pollard before Lebok, the 7-1 split on the bench, only having Willie Leroux on the bench, going with the formidable 12-13 that we've had most of the World Cup. Looking at our wings and our fullback, it's all stayed the same, right? Also bringing on Faf to start off with. I think we're just trying to close off this game, trying to get points, and aka South Africa, is currently, leading the World Cup with penalties converted for your own team at scrum time. We also Oxen Chair, came up, changed the game pretty much in the semi-final, where South Africa was in dire need of it. And is this going to be, the strategy of how many penalties can we convert, especially at scrum time, and convert those into points? With the amazing boots of Pollard also kicking accuracy, very few of the kickers, I think there's only 3. He has 100% kicking accuracy at the moment for this World Cup. Granted, it's mostly penalty kicks here and there. He did play most of the English game. It's 100%, so that's extremely nice going into this game for 400 Pollard and the points of the Springboks. I haven't seen the New Zealand lineup. I have heard Richie Mo'unga is struggling a little bit with a quad injury, but it's going to be their strongest team, guys. I think they have very well kept players. They have a real good X factor. They've really been going with Richie Mo'unga at 10. We've got Geordie Barrett at 12, we've got Rico on at 13, Will Jordan, which is just phenomenal at the moment. Anything he touches goes to gold on 14. 11, always up for grabs. I think Talia played last time. Will Talia play again? Will they bring in someone else? That's the grey area for me. And then definitely Bo Barrett at 15. Right. Pack can change a bit here and there, although I think that will be pretty set with Ardie Seviers, with Kane on captain. Just that lock time, does Retallick start? Does Sam Whitelock going to come on again as an impact player? He is probably the most experienced in that squad. It can be a big day for him winning his 3rd World Cup. I think the only player to have ever done it. So yeah, there's a lot of these elements. I'm not going to talk too much in the New Zealand lineup. It hasn't been announced. It's going to be a clash. It's going to be a forwards battle. Let's dive into some of the key positions that I think are going to make or break this game. So a few factors that we have to consider is weather, right? It's a World Cup final, are there injuries and all of these things, and what type of pressures come with everything. And if South Africa play anything like they played against England, against New Zealand, it's going to be a really hard day. If it rains, we saw South Africa under the rain and how we struggle with the high ball. I think England was far better than South Africa under the high ball. So all of these things start working into what are the key matchups, right? So obviously it's going to be Andre Pollard on the boot. South Africa is banking the entire World Cup on Andre Pollard's boots. That's my opinion. I think that's what we're going to do. We always knew it was coming, especially once he came back into the box squad. But at the moment, the key positions are definitely, again, like, because scrums have been so, I don't want to say inconsistently reffed, but it's really tough at the moment, right? And can go either way. I think it's going to be a massive battle. So can guys like Steven Kitsoff, can guys like Oxenchair, and these key players at scrum time turn it, right, and get a tight head penalty, or can they just get a penalty in general with creating massive pressure? This is really the question for me. And I think that suddenly makes these players very valuable. And I know I didn't speak too much about props throughout this World Cup, but it's really become quite vital for these players and how they want to win the World Cup by getting the points that they are trying to get. Obviously, physicality, if I look at South Africa, we require that from Eben Etzebeth. It was a lackluster against England. I think he was quite flat compared to his game that we had against France. He's going to be vital again, and if he's not giving us that going forward, I mean, that bomb squad bench when RG Snyman came on, guys, he provided us that, right? Yeah, go forward. He always tried to get his hands loose, and Kwagga Smith is probably one of the most valuable players at the World Cup with the amount of energy that he brings and the impact that he brings, right? So these guys are all extremely key to me and to the energy of the pack of South Africa. Someone else I just want to chat about is Jesse Kriel. He's key in the sense of defense, and if he has another English like against England off game, we're not so on tight, and the way New Zealand really runs at you or runs that ball, it can be a really tough day. So I hope they're nice and formidable, and I honestly hope, just side note, South Africa needs to carry that ball more. And Damien Alindi, didn't see much of him in England. If he wants to be a key player, he needs to be carrying like how we know he can carry. And then I just want to chat about the back three. Willemse under the pump, right? Especially in that weather. I think we saw even Arends, these guys coughing up high balls, and England completely destroyed us in the air. So it's vital for me that these back three work together. New Zealand love the chip and chase, right? So are they going to be able to cover that defensive area just behind their defense line, right? And how well are they going to be able to handle the cross kicks from Barrett and from Richie and that air ball? I mean, Will Jordan again, the air ball. So these are definitely matchups for me. Key players on the side of South Africa. New Zealand, as always, I always say, Richie Mo'unga, my favorite 10. The amount of speed that he brings into attack, that beautiful try with him and Will Jordan just attacking that first channel over there, guys. I love Richie. He definitely brings it. He backs himself. The amount of chips and chase they do. I've even seen Barrett actually come into the first receiver position, kicking for Richie because he's just got that pace, right? Other players, I think Rikoani is not getting as much recognition as he should. He's been around a long time now. He's transitioned through different positions, and I really enjoy the way he plays as well, which is solidified as attack and defense. Will Jordan is again probably the key element. We will definitely see if there's a try from New Zealand, it's probably going to come from Will Jordan. Top try scorer, breaking his 8. Like there's a lot on that, right? And then Beauden Barrett again at 15, just being as formidable as he can. Then locks. I have to talk about that aerial battle because Murray Toje did take South Africa's line out on. It's just, if the other Barrett brother, if Scott Barrett gets up onto our lineouts and he's starting to disrupt, it's going to be an issue, and I think he really can, right? The same with Etzebeth against New Zealand. It's going to be vital at lineout time. Scrum time, is the Groot and these guys able to, because South Africa's scrum wants to come, and second half the subs of New Zealand, it's going to be under the pump at scrum time. That's what South Africa wants, right? That's where we're bargaining all our chips. Can they withstand the pressure? Can they even turn that pressure? So for me, the entire front row and the bench front row of New Zealand become vital on how can they do that pressure, and can they turn that scrum to their side as well. Ardie Savea, as always, guys, on his birthday had a phenomenal game. He's literally a force. Running, tackling. If you compare him to his counterpart, I think Dwayne Vermeulen's getting the 8 start. Ardie Savea all day, every day on that. So yes, guys, just a few key positions. Then I just want to lastly end off on captains. We have Sia Khaleesi, who's won the World Cup. We have Sam Cane on the other side as well. Both loose forwards, right? Technically in the same position. South Africa just switches the 6 and the 7. And what are they going to bring to the team? Are they going to deal with the pressure? How is the relationship with the ref, right? I think Wayne Barnes has got the referee at his first World Cup final. He's a good ref in my eyes. Is there going to be a bit of a clash that it's a Northern Hemisphere ref and the Southern Hemisphere style of playing? That's going to be interesting. And how do the captains manage that, right? How do they speak? How when things spiral out, do they go into that? Where we saw Farrell against South Africa chatting back and not having a good relationship with the ref did cost him a bit. So these are vital points from the side of a captain, and that's Sia Khaleesi and Sam Cane for me. Great. Let's dive into next. Next, I just want to touch up on what worked and what didn't work. So, very tough, as I said in the beginning of the video. If we look at South Africa, a terrible day out. Weather didn't work for them. They couldn't adapt that well in the weather conditions. And guys, England had our name for 80% of that game. I think the last 15 minutes turned the game for South Africa. And if we didn't, I think England would have been in this final. Farrell played a phenomenal game. Probably the man of the match in my eyes, the way he led his team, the way he kicked in the right spaces, very accurate at kicking for poles. He was brilliant, guys. So with this being said, South Africa had a tough day out, and they didn't fight back on that until Oxenchair came on at scrum time and completely changed that game. Gave us go forward ball, gave us a bit of a momentum, and that changed. So things that didn't go right for South Africa, we have to look at high balls, right? Especially in bad weather. Both our wings, who are usually very formidable, were not good, right? Not reliable, and I think that's something New Zealand capitalized on, even in dry weather. They got some very good high ball players, and other things South Africa just didn't go to hand is Wani Lebok had a bit of an off day, and that X factor on attack. I think he was subbed after 30 or 35 minutes. So I think South Africa went for a very strong attack in the first half. It didn't pull off. They decided to bring on Pollard and just kind of slow down and try to play a more tactical game and go for points. Other positives, guys, it was really hard for me to find in South Africa, other than boys from the bench creating as much impact as they did. I said earlier, RG Snyman, every single time into contact, he's opening up arms, trying to offload that ball, which is so good, showing he's trying to get the momentum. Kwagga Smith, guys, as well, good turnovers at ruck time, just providing extra energy. I think that the 9 situation, Kobus Reinach didn't have the best day out as well, being subbed on with a bit more experienced Faf, but still not much boxes to tick over there. So in honest, when I'm trying to find these positives, it is just mostly the impact that came off the bench. It is just this last 10 or 15 minutes that South Africa played, and honestly, you can't play 10 or 15 minutes against New Zealand. We all know New Zealand have played 80, 85-minute rugby, as long as I've been alive. So can they withstand that constant pressure? And it's going to come. Positives of New Zealand, I think they have really come out of their shell. I know I spoke previously about how New Zealand didn't have the greatest build-up, how these guys are trying to find each other, and it's just completely spun around, right? I think the amount of energy they got beating Ireland is brilliant for them. I think it works well for them. And now the players, or shall we say, the type of style that they're playing is very... it's very, I want to use the word relaxed, right? Because the hands are flowing, the guys are where they want to be, and they're starting to gel, and they've completely clicked. And I must swallow my words from my previous video where I said that this New Zealand team just didn't feel the same as previous World Cup winning New Zealand teams. And remember, this is what I'm saying as they build up and first lost to France, and then they had 2 easier games of Uruguay and Namibia. But to be honest, they've really started to come together, and I think the captain said after they lost, like, they want to go from the loss and then just build, and they completely have. That momentum that they've gained throughout this World Cup is phenomenal. What went right for them? Almost everything, right? I think Argentina wasn't up to the task at all. The score showed that. I also think that the amount of pace that they inject into their attack is is worrying for any team that they play against, right? How they exploit space, how quick they are to counter-attack, and again, I love it, how they keep the ball alive in that. Are they able to keep the ball alive this game? It's going to probably be the contest of rucks again. Argentina tried, right? But a positive from New Zealand is they barely lost possession, and they really capitalized on the score on that as well. So, like I said, really hard to pinpoint exactly what's the best. I think New Zealand had quite an open game against Argentina. Good to see that their attacking structures are working. Even better to see that their defense structures are working with a low points scored against Argentina. On the side of South Africa, not much to take away from that semi-final. The boys got the job done. Again, only by 1 point. You know, is this game also going to be the third game or three-peat where it's only 1 point difference? Time will tell. So let's dive into the prediction. Always the hardest part for me is the prediction side. It's a final. I will definitely go with my heart with the green and gold. For a back-to-back for the boys would be phenomenal. They put a lot on their shoulders. But in all honesty as well, New Zealand have been extremely good. I also kind of want Sam Whitelock to get a third, to be the only player in the world to do that, and to be the greatest. But it's going to be extremely difficult. Before I saw the lineups, I thought it's going to be one of the highest scoring finals, because both teams have just gone all out throughout the World Cup on their first half on attack, right? As many points as they can. New Zealand's really good at that. But now, as soon as I see the South African lineup, I feel suddenly their outlook or their goal that they want to achieve with that type of bench and with the 7-1, it's quite different. I think this is going to be an extremely tight game. I hope it is, right? For the sake of us, for the nail biters, for getting more grey hair, it's going to be tight. So my prediction will be South Africa. I'm going to go with our three-peat of 1 point. 1 point margin to South Africa. Tight game. With a few tries, I'm going to go 21-20 South Africa. May the boys lift the green and gold again. It would be phenomenal. I think New Zealand are going to be really good, opposition. They're going to bring everything they want. And guys, to be honest with you, I'm very happy both teams are Southern Hemisphere. Both of these teams deserve to be there. They've been dominant in the rugby scene for 2-3 decades now. It's going to be amazing to watch, guys. Let's enjoy this clash. Please let me know what your predictions are. And please comment them. And that's a wrap. So final World Cup game. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. It's been a learning curve for me. I'm sure it's been a learning curve for you. I've really enjoyed engaging with you guys. Thank you so much for taking my opinion with a grain of salt, for learning with me, for just engaging as well. I get the comments, I get the likes, I get the shares. I've really enjoyed this. I will definitely continue post World Cup. URC just started last weekend. NPC pretty much is finished with their final. So there's always rugby. I will definitely be watching. I'll definitely be giving some inputs, maybe not as regularly, but I'll definitely be there. Thank you again to everyone who just supported me throughout this journey. I really appreciate you guys. Enjoy the final on Saturday. It's going to be a nail biter. It's going to be beautiful. I hope that everyone can just embrace the love of rugby, and may the best team win, and hopefully it's the Boks. Cheers, guys.